Today I am going to go through the Bmat 2015 Section 1. If you found this video informative, please like, comment and share this video. Now let the explaining begin. Question 1. 5 children have had their height measured as part of a preschool health check. Stuart is taller than Ruth, who is taller than Margaret. Tim is shorter than Ruth and taller than Adrian. Who must Adrian be shorter than? The answer to this question is D. This is because of the following. The question provides us with 2 sentences of crucial information. 1. Stuart is taller than Ruth, who is taller than Margaret, which can be represented algebraically as S greater than R greater than M2. Tim is shorter than Ruth and taller than Adrian, which can be represented algebraically as R greater than T greater than. The questions asks who must Adrian, A, be shorter than. From the second equation we know that Adrian must be shorter than Ruth and Tim. Furthermore, the first equation tells us that Stuart is taller than Ruth and therefore must also be taller than Adrian. The equations state that Margaret and Adrian are both shorter than Ruth, but from the information given we have no way of knowing how tall they are relative to each other. Therefore the correct answer is D, because we do not know if Adrian is shorter than Margaret, eliminating option A, B and C, and we know that Adrian must be shorter than Ruth, Tim and Stuart, eliminating option E. Question 2. The number of people in the UK with tuberculosis, TB, has nearly doubled over the past 25 years, but for most of us the chances of catching the infection are still relatively small. 3/4 of all infections recorded last year were in people from deprived areas, half were not in employment, and 1 in 10 had at least one social risk factor such as poor housing. In these cases, people's immune systems may not be robust due to health problems or poor diet. TB is also more common in people from countries where it is endemic. About 3/4 of those diagnosed in the UK every year were born outside the UK. One of the biggest problems in dealing with the new prevalence of TB is that the current generation of doctors is largely unfamiliar with it, so they don't even consider the diagnosis. Which one of the following could be drawn as a conclusion from the passage? The correct answer is E, because of the following. Being relatively affluent means that a person is unlikely to live in a deprived area, be unemployed or experiences a social risk factor such as poor housing. Furthermore, the text states that 3/4 of those diagnosed in the UK every year were born outside the UK. Therefore, from the information given in the text, the conclusion can be drawn that a person who is relatively affluent and born in the UK are unlikely to catch TB, and therefore option E is. Question 3. Rainbow Parcels is a parcel delivery company. It has 7 delivery vans, each one a different color. Each van is equipped with a meter which records the total distance traveled by the van since new. At the end of the last day of each month, the transport manager records the readings on the van's meters. The following table shows the readings for the second half of last year, which van traveled the greatest distance during the 3-month period from September 1st to November 30th last year. The correct answer is A, because of the following. The text states that each van contains a meter that records the total distance traveled by the van since new. Furthermore, the text also states that the values given in the table are the recorded reading from the last day of the month indicated. Therefore, to calculate the distance traveled between September 1st and November 30th, the value in August column, not the value in the September column, as this represents the distance traveled from new to the 30th of September, must be subtracted from the value in the November column, asterisk red van, 78,853 minus 68,240 equals 10,613, asterisk orange van, 73,684 minus 64,425 equals 9,259, asterisk yellow van, 81,163 minus 71,302 equals 9,861, asterisk green van, 75,146 minus 64,827 equals 10,319, asterisk blue van, 83,392 minus 73,959 equals 9,433, asterisk indigo van, 78,229 minus 68,623 equals 9,606, asterisk violet van, 72,826 minus 68,623 equals 9,738. The figures show that the red van traveled the greatest distance during the dates given, and therefore option A is correct. Question 4. Recent research has found a surprising correlation between how women rate the physical attractiveness of male competitive cyclists and their overall performance in an endurance race, with those competitors rated most attractive finishing ahead of those rated less attractive. It seems that women are sensitive to those physical traits that relate to cycling excellence and unwittingly factor this into how attractive they find a particular participant. Therefore, it would follow that attractive male film stars and models are likely to make successful cyclists. Which one of the following best expresses the flaw in the above passage? The correct answer is a because of the following. Option A is correct because the passage assumes a causality between attractiveness and cycling performance when they have only shown a correlation. The researchers have not taken into account that there may be other factors that are necessary for an attractive person to be a good cyclist. Question 5. There were 15 competitors in the long jump event at a recent athletics meeting. In the preliminary competition, all the competitors were allowed 2 attempts, with the better of the 2 to count in each case. The top 3 and anyone else within 50 centimeters of third place qualified to take part in the final later in the day. The distances recorded in the preliminary competition were as follows. How many competitors qualified for the final of the long jump? The correct answer is D because of the following. Competitor 4 was the individual to produce the furthest jump on either attempt, 7.34 meters. Competitor 13 was the individual to produce the second furthest jump on either attempt, 7.29 meters, with competitor 10 coming third, 7.17 meters. Therefore, any competitor with a jump of 6.67 meters or higher, 7.17 to 0.50 equals 6.67, qualified for the final according to the rules stated. Along with competitors 4, 13 and 10, 5 additional individuals achieved a jump of 6.67 meters or higher, competitor 2, 6.88 meters. Competitor 3, 6.92 meters. Competitor 5, 6.71 meters. Competitor 7, 7.06 meters. Competitor 14, 6.97 meters. Therefore 8 competitors qualified for the final in total, option D. Question 6. Agriculture faces its biggest challenge since Neolithic days in the way it adapts, or fails to adapt, to climate change. Africa and Southeast Asia will be worst affected. In 20 years' time, their climate will be quite different from their climate today. Crop varieties used now will yield dramatically less in the changed conditions. Famine and higher food prices will follow. To avert this disaster, we need to develop worldwide seed banks with detailed catalogs showing the traits of each variety and the resistance they have to heat, soil saturation or drought. Farmers can then begin to trial crops and prepare for the future. Seed banks are not the only answer to impending famine, but they are an achievable first step. Which one of the following best expresses the main conclusion of the above argument? The correct answer is C because of the following. Option C is correct because the central argument of the passage is that the first step to averting famine is to create catalogued seed banks that can be trialed by farmers, and this option best expresses this. Question 7. The price of a particular share varies from day to day. On Monday the price of the share was £1, Tuesday's price was 20% higher than Monday's, and Thursday's price was 25% up on Wednesday's price. By the Friday of that week the price had returned to £1. Helen bought £1,000 worth of this share on Monday and then sold them on Thursday to make a profit of £350. Paul bought £3,000 worth of this share on Tuesday but had to sell them the following day. Assuming that there are negligible costs associated with buying and selling these shares, what was the return on Paul's investment? The correct answer is C because of the following. To calculate the return on Paul's investment, the share price on Tuesday and Wednesday must be calculated. If the share price was £1 on Monday and 20% higher on Tuesday, then the share price on Tuesday was 1 multiplied by 1.2 equals £1 and 20 pence. Helen bought 1,000 shares on Monday, 1,000 multiplied £1 equals £1,000, and sold them for £1,350. £1,000 plus £350 equals £1,350. Therefore, the cost per share on Thursday was £1 and 35 pence. £1,350 divided by 1,000 equals £1 and 35 pence. If the share price of Thursday was 25% up on Wednesday's price, then the share price of Wednesday was £1 and 35 pence divided by 1.25 equals £1 and 8 pence. Therefore, Paul's £3,000 would have bought him 2,500 shares on Tuesday. 3,000 divided by 1.2 equals 2,500, which would have sold for £2,700 on Thursday. 2,500 times 1.08 equals £2,700. Therefore, Paul made a £300 loss. £3,000 minus £2,700 equals £300. Thus option C is correct. Question 8. Which one of the following statements is a conclusion that can reliably be drawn from the passage? The correct answer is B, because of the following. Option B can reliably be drawn from the passage because both Study 2 showed that offenders were less likely to reoffend if given a non-custodial sentence compared to a short custodial sentence. Furthermore, the passage suggests that the aim of custodial sentences should be to stop people committing crime. Thus, according to the passage, it is a mistake to send an offender to prison when a more effective option is available. Question 9. In Study 1, how many former prisoners who had not reoffended within a year of release from prison then reoffended within 5 years of release? The correct answer is D, because of the following. Study 1 tracked 50,000 former prisoners. After 1 year, a cumulative figure of 44% of prisoners has reoffended. After 5 years, a cumulative value of 66% of prisoners had reoffended. Therefore, the percentage of figure to reoffend between the end of the first year following release and the end of the 5th year following release was 22%. 66 minus 44 equals 22. Therefore, the number of prisoners who had not reoffended within a year of release from prison but then reoffended within 5 years of release was 50,000 multiplied by 0.22 equals 11,000 prisoners. Option D. Question 10. Study 2 shows that 55% of offenders released from a short prison sentence reoffended within a year, whilst only 22% of offenders did so having served a non-custodial sentence. Yet the passage claims that giving offenders a community service order instead of a prison sentence reduces reoffending rates by 6%. Which one of the following is the best explanation for the apparent discrepancy between these figures? The correct answer is A, because the data given in the passage provides no information on the types of crimes committed by the custodial and non-custodial groups of Study 2. Only offenders committing comparable offenses would be able to be compared to calculate the reduction in reoffending rates, which could explain the discrepancy between the value stated in the passage and a value that could be inferred from the raw data. Question 11. A politician argues that, on the basis of the report, more convicted offenders should where appropriate be subjected to restorative justice, such as meeting their victims, instead of being sent to prison, because this will reduce the likelihood of them reoffending. Which one of the following, if true, most strengthens this argument? The correct answer is E, because it shows that there are ways of making the prison alternative, restorative justice, even more effective at reducing reoffending rates. Question 12. A youth club ran a Complete the Puzzle Against the Clock competition last Saturday. Teams had to complete a variety of puzzles and were awarded points determined by how long it took them to complete each puzzle. Less than 10 minutes equals 9 points, between 10 and 20 minutes equals 5 points, between 20 and 30 minutes equals 3 points. Any team failing to complete a puzzle within 30 minutes had 2 points taken off their score. At the halfway stage of the competition, when all teams had completed 4 puzzles, the total scores were displayed on a scoreboard as shown below. One of the teams has been credited with a score which is not possible from 4 puzzles on the given scoring system. Which team has a score which has been wrongly calculated, i.e. could not possibly have been scored at this stage? The correct answer is D, because of the following. The range of scores possible from each puzzle according to the scoring system were -2, 3, 5 and 9. Therefore only scores that could be produces from the sum of 4 of these numbers, allowing repeats, would be possible. The teams whose scores can be produced are shown below. Crosswords. 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 9 equals 22 jigsaws. 9 plus 9 plus 5 minus 2 equals 21 Rubik's. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 9 equals 24 tangrams. 9 plus 9 plus 9 minus 2 equals 25. However, there is no way of producing 23 from the sum of the 4 of the numbers available on the scoring system, and therefore solitaires were credited with a score not possible from 4 puzzles given the scoring system. Question 13. Should people who have been convicted of serious crimes be able to return to their career after serving a prison sentence? At first sight, it seems only fair and just that they should, so that offenders can be rehabilitated into society. But what if that person has a career in a high-profile job, such as a professional footballer? Millions of young supporters regard football players as role models and heroes. In this case, the giving of a second chance is not justified. It risks sending a message to young people that such behavior is acceptable. For high-profile people with young fans, there should be no second chance. Which one of the following is an assumption of the above argument? The correct answer is D, because the reasoning that the passage gives for not allowing footballers convicted of serious crimes to return to their careers after serving their prison sentence is the potential effect that this could have on young fans and hence society. Question 14. An artist has 3 100 milliliters tubes of paint, one red, one yellow and one blue. Mixing equal quantities of red and yellow gives orange, mixing equal quantities of red and blue gives purple, mixing equal quantities of yellow and blue gives green, and mixing equal quantities of red, yellow and blue gives brown. The design of a small mural needs 30% of brown and 20% of red, as well as 10% of each of blue, yellow, orange, purple and green. If after painting the mural the artist has 20 milliliters of paint left in the red tube, how much blue paint will be left? The correct answer is B, because of the following. To solve this problem, first the percentage of paint used that was red to paint the mural must be calculated. The total percentage of paint used that was red paint on its own equals 20%. Red paint used in brown paint equals 30 divided by 3 equals 10%. Red paint used in orange paint equals 10 divided by 2 equals 5%. Red used in purple paint equals 10 divided by 2 equals 5%. Therefore the total percentage of paint used for the mural that was red equals 20 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5 equals 40%. 80 milliliters of red paint was used, 100 minus 20 equals 80, therefore 80 milliliters equals 40% of paint used. If 80 milliliters equals 40%, then total volume of paint used, 80 divided by 0.4 equals 200 milliliters. The percentage of paint used that was blue, asterisk blue on its own equals 10%, asterisk blue in brown paint equals 30 divided by 3 equals 10%, asterisk blue paint used in green paint equals 10 divided by 2 equals 5%, asterisk blue used in purple paint equals 10 divided by 2 equals 5%. Therefore the total percentage of blue paint used equals 10 plus 10 plus 5 equals 30%. 30% of 200 milliliters equals 60 milliliters, 200 multiplied by 0.3 equals 60. Thus 60 milliliters of blue paint was used. The amount of blue paint left from the 100 milliliters tube will therefore have been 40 milliliters, 100 minus 60 equals 40, and option B was correct. Question 15. Despite advances in computer modeling and research on humans, we still understand very little about the human brain, and we are unable to treat many neurological conditions and injuries effectively because of this. Human brains work in very similar ways to most primates, and it is possible to create lesions in primate brains which mimic the effects of certain human conditions. If we accept that it is ethical to test on primates rather than humans, such research could be done using primates. Through understanding the effects of brain lesions, we may be able to develop treatments and therapies that would benefit humans. Which one of the following could be drawn as a conclusion from the above passage? The correct answer is A, because the conclusion of the passage is that creating lesions in primate brains is the best way to advance the understanding of the human brain and thus develop effective treatments for currently untreatable neurological conditions. Question 16. Maisie attends a small rural school with 15 other girls and 10 boys. Of the girls in the school, 3 older ones have younger sisters in the school, and 2 other girls have brothers in the school. Of the boys in the school, 2 older ones have younger brothers in the school, and 2 other boys have sisters in the school. If there are no twins, and no family has more than 2 children in the school, how many of the children do not have either a brother or a sister in the school? The correct answer is D, because of the following. Including Maisie, there are 16 girls and 10 boys in the school. As each family has no more than 2 children in the school, any pupil can only be a sibling to one other pupil in the school. Children with a brother or sister in the school, 3 girls have younger sisters in the school equals 6, 2 boys have older brothers equals 4, 2 boys have sisters equals 4. Therefore the total number of children in the school with a sibling also in the school equals 6 plus 4 equals 14. Therefore the number of children without a sibling in the school equals 26 minus 14 equals 12, option D. Question 17. The rate of recorded heart attacks among women in the UK could soon start to fall because a new blood test has been developed which provides a more accurate diagnosis of the incidence of heart attacks in women. Researchers believe that heart attacks in women may previously have been underdiagnosed because the old blood test was not sufficiently sensitive. They believe that possibly twice as many women will be found using the new test to have had heart attacks as were found using the old one. With more accurate diagnosis, women can start treatment to reduce the risk of a further attack. Which one of the following best expresses the flaw in the above argument? The correct answer is a because of the following. The argument presented is that the improved blood test will be able to identify a greater number of heart attacks that occur and that applied to women, this test will result in a greater number of women being given preventative treatment and thus reduce the occurrence of further heart attacks. This line of argument is used to claim that recorded heart attacks among women in the UK could start to fall. However, there is an assumption made that the increased identification of first-time heart attacks will be fewer than the reduction in further heart attacks due to treatment. Question 18. In the sport of wing ball there are three types of goal, as follows: a span, which scores 8 points a beat, which scores 5 points a tip, which scores 2 points. The Eagles scored a total of 720 points last season in the National Wing Ball League, setting a new record for the number of points scored in a season. Their 42 spans and 36 beats were also new records, but they fell just short of claiming the record for the most tips in a season. Which one of the following pie charts shows how many of the 720 points scored by the Eagles last season were from spans, how many were from beats and how many were from tips? The correct answer is E because of the following. The number of points the Eagles scored from spans was 42 multiplied by 8 equals 336. The number of points the Eagles scored from beats was 36 multiplied by 5 equals 180. Therefore, the number of points scored from tips was 720 minus 180 minus 336 equals 204. Therefore, the Eagles score exactly a quarter of their points from beats, just under half from spans and just over a quarter from tips. Option E is the only plausible pie chart. Question 19. How many lumps of sugar would a 2-liter bottle of sugary drink typically be equivalent to? The correct answer is C because of the following. The text states that there are 9 lumps of sugar in 330 milliliters of sugary drink. Therefore, in 2L, 2000 milliliters, of sugary drink there are 2000 over 330 times as many lumps of sugar, roughly 6 times, 6 multiplied by 9 equals 54 lumps of sugar, therefore the answer is option C. Question 20. If the tax resulted in teenagers consuming only 1/3 as much sugar from sugary drinks, how would their sugar intake compare to the recommended level? The correct answer is C because of the following. The text states that teenagers consume 50% more sugar on average than is currently recommended equals 150% of the recommended amount. The text also states that 30% of the sugar intake of teenagers is from sugary soft drinks. Therefore, teenagers consume 45% of the recommended amount from soft drinks, 150 multiplied by 0.3 equals 45. If the tax reduced the consumption of sugar from soft drinks to 1/3 of its original value, then teenagers would, 45 divided by 3 equals 15% of the recommended amount of sugar from soft drinks. This is a reduction of 45 minus 15 equals 30 percentile points of the recommended daily amount. Therefore, teenagers would consume 150 minus 30 equals 120% of the recommended daily amount or 20% above the recommended level, option C. Question 21. If a volume tax of 20p per litre resulted in a 10% reduction in sales of sugary drinks compared to 2011, what would be the total amount of revenue from the tax, to the nearest £1 million? The correct answer is C because of the following. The text states that in 2011 approximately 5,727 million litres of sugary drinks were consumed. If the consumption was reduced by 10%, then the consumption would be 5,727 multiplied by 0.9 equals 5,154.3 million litres. Therefore, with the volume tax being 20p per litre, the total tax revenue from soft drinks would be 5,154.3 multiplied by 0.2 equals £1,030.86 million. This rounds up to £1,031 million, option C. Question 22. Which one of the following, if true, would most weaken the argument for introducing a sales tax on sugary drinks rather than a volume tax? The correct answer is A, because if retailers reduce their purchase price as a result of a sales tax, this may lead to increased buying of soft drinks by consumers because of a cheaper price, resulting in the opposite outcome intended by the sales tax. Question 23. The street map below shows the locations of a hotel and 6 visitor attractions, together with walking distances shown in meters, m. A tourist stayed in the hotel and had time to visit only 5 of the attractions by taking the shortest route. Starting from and finishing at the hotel, his route was total of 530 meters. Which one of the 6 attractions did he not visit? The correct answer is E, because of the following. The tourist did not visit the palace. The route not involving the palace was hotel to the tower to the castle to the arch to the fountain to the courts to the hotel equals 110 plus 110 plus 90 plus 80 plus 80 plus 20 plus 40 equals 530 meters. Question 24. Although many schools have banned the sale of energy drinks filled with sugar and caffeine on the school site, this policy may backfire on those schools and on the results their students achieve in public examinations. Caffeine has been shown to improve focus, which could benefit students both in their studies before an examination and during the examination itself. Recent trials have also shown that caffeine can boost the effectiveness of short-term memory, which could help students to recall key information. 1. Caffeine has been shown to reduce quality and duration of sleep. 2. Caffeine withdrawal symptoms can include headaches. 3. Sleep deprivation can cause lack of focus and poor memory. 4. Any negative effects of moderate caffeine consumption are limited. 5. Memory is an important factor in examination success. Which of the following statements taken together weaken the above argument? The correct answer is B, because of the following. The passage argues that the banning of caffeinated drinks in school may in fact result in a worsening of exam results for students. The passage argues that this is because of the positive effects that studies have shown caffeine to have at improving focus. In order to weaken this argument, a negative effect of caffeine must be shown. Statement 4 can be discounted because it supports the argument. Statements 1 and 2 are the only 2 statements that mention an effect of caffeine. Therefore, one of these statements must form the first of the pair. There is not another statement related to headaches, so statement 2 can be discounted. Statement 3 discusses the negative effects of sleep deprivation, something which statement 1 claims caffeine causes. Therefore, together these 2 statements weaken the argument, option B. Question 25. My 6-digit passcode for internet banking consists of 6 different digits. The second digit is 8. When the passcode is written as 3 2-digit numbers, the 3 numbers add up to 80. When it is written as 2 3-digit numbers, the 2 numbers add up to 800. What is the last digit of my passcode? The correct answer is F, because of the following. When the passcode is written as 2 3-digit numbers, the 2 numbers add up to 800. Therefore, the third and last number must add up to 10, so that the units of the sum is 0. Furthermore, the second and fifth numbers must sum to 9, so that the tens number is a 0, 9 plus the 1 carried from the units. Therefore the fifth number is a 1, 8 plus 1 equals 9. Moreover, the first and fourth numbers must add to equal 7, so that the hundreds number is an 8, 7 plus the 1 carried from the tens. According to the rules stated above, the possible combinations for the third and last numbers can be 3 and 7. 7 and 3, 4 and 6, 6 and 4. According to the rules stated above, the possible combinations for the first and fourth numbers can be 2 and 5, 5 and 2, 3 and 4, 4 and 3. As the combinations for the third and last numbers must contain a 3 in one case or a 4 in the other, then the first and fourth numbers must be 2 and 5 or 5 and 2. The passage states that when written as 3 2-digit numbers, the 3 numbers add up to 80. As the second digit is 8, the fourth and sixth digit must add up to 12, so that the units of the sum is 0. The only combination of numbers possible for the fourth and last digits with the sum being 12 is that the fourth digit is 5 and the last digit 7, option F. Question 26. Despite years of butter and saturated fats being given a bad press, it has recently emerged that studies in the 1980s that highlighted the dangers of eating too much of these fats were based on a misleading data set. Consequently, the guidance based on these studies to reduce the intake of saturated fats cannot be justified. These studies suggested that a high intake of saturated fat was associated with an increased risk of coronary heart disease, and to counter this they should only make up 10% of our diet. Now that this research has been discredited, we can once again enjoy the tastes our grandparents enjoyed without risking our health. Which one of the following is an assumption made by the above argument? The correct answer is C, because it presents a conclusion of the passage, not an assumption made. The passage argues that because studies in the 1980s that suggested negative health effects of saturated fats have been discredited, we should be able to freely enjoy saturated fats in our diets without worries of negative health effects. The major assumption made by this argument that was not mentioned in the body of the text itself is that there have not been subsequent studies that are based on solid evidence showing the negative health effects of saturated fats. Question 27. A survey of primary school children showed that between 55% and 65% owned a laptop computer, between 70% and 80% owned a mobile phone, and fewer than 5% owned neither of these items. What percentage of the children owned both a laptop computer and a mobile phone? The correct answer is C, because of the following. Assuming 0%, the minimum of children owned neither a mobile phone nor a laptop computer, and the minimum percentage of children owned a laptop computer and mobile phone, 55% and 70% respectively, then the minimum percentage of children that owned both was 100 minus 70 equals 30% do not own a mobile phone but do own a laptop. 55 minus 30 equals 25% of laptop owners that must also own a mobile phone, assuming 5%, the maximum, of children owned neither a mobile phone nor a laptop computer, and the maximum percentage of children owned a laptop computer and mobile phone, 65% and 80% respectively, then the maximum percentage of children that owned both was 100 minus 5 equals 95% of children either own a laptop, a mobile phone, or both. 95 minus 80 equals 15% of children do not own a mobile phone but can own a laptop. 65 minus 15 equals 50% of laptop owners that must also own a mobile phone. Therefore, option C is correct. Question 28. It has been shown that most people are either night owls, who describe themselves as naturally more active and alert in the evening, or morning larks, who wake early and become less alert once daylight decreases. These patterns are linked to changes in the levels of the hormone melatonin, which is associated with feelings of sleepiness. Those who follow a morning lark pattern show high levels of melatonin early in the evening and low levels by the early morning, with the opposite being true in night owls, with higher levels of melatonin still present in the morning after waking. Therefore, employers should allow for flexible working hours to accommodate people's sleep patterns. Which one of the following, if true, most weakens the above argument? The correct answer is A, because of the following. The argument presented assumes that the melatonin level changes are causing the behavior changes and time-dependent alertness levels of night owls and morning larks. Therefore, if option A were true and it was the behavior caused the melatonin levels, this would undermine the argument and suggest that by changing behavior people could change when they felt alert. Question 29. I want to decorate one of the rooms in my house by painting the 4 walls. The room is rectangular, measuring 5 meters by 4 meters, and is 2.5 meters high. There is a door in one of the narrower walls, measuring 1 meter wide by 2 meters high. There is also a window in the opposite wall to the door, measuring 2 meters wide by 1.5 meters high. I do not intend to paint the door or the window. I want to use 2 different colors, one color on the 2 opposing narrower walls and the other color on the 2 opposing wider walls. Each color of paint is available from a high-quality manufacturer at £15 per tin or from a budget manufacturer at £11 per tin. To get a good finish, I need to put 2 coats of paint on the wall if I am using the high-quality paint but 3 coats if I am using the budget paint. Tins of paint will cover a wall area of 15 square meters in a single coat whichever manufacturer I use. I do not have to use the same quality of paint for the 2 different colors. How much do I need to spend on paint in order to achieve a good finish on all 4 walls without buying any more paint than I have to? The correct answer is A, because of the following. The total area of paint for the 2 wider walls is 5 multiplied by 2.5 multiplied by 2 equals 25 meter squared. If each tin covers 15 meters squared, then, for 2 coats of high-quality paint, 50 square meters total, 4 tins are needed. 3 tins equals 45 meter squared, 4 tins equals 60 meter squared, which would cost 4 multiplied by 15 pounds equals 60 pounds for 3 coats of budget paint, 75 meter squared, 5 tins are needed. 5 tins equals 75 meter squared, which would cost 5 multiplied by 11 pounds equals 55 pounds, so budget paint is the cheaper option here. The area needed to be painted on the narrower walls is 4 multiplied by 2.5 multiplied by 2, minus 2 minus 1.5 times 2, equals 15 meter squared. If each tin covers 15 meter squared, then, for 2 coats of high-quality paint, 30 square meters total, 2 tins are needed. 2 tins equals 30 meter squared, which would cost 2 times 15 pounds equals 30 pounds for 3 coats of budget paint, 45 meter squared. 3 tins are needed. 3 tins equals 45 meter squared, which would cost 3 times by 11 pounds equals 33 pounds, so high-quality paint is the cheaper option here. The total painting cost using budget paint for the wider walls and high-quality paint for the narrower walls would be 85 pounds, option A. Question 30. Accident and emergency. A&E units have too many patients and not enough permanent staff to treat them. Working in A&E is not attractive to doctors, the environment is frenzied and the working hours are unsociable. For these reasons, newly qualified doctors tend to choose other specialisms. With too few permanent staff, hospitals are spending extremely large sums of money on temporary staff from agencies. One solution is to pay higher wages to permanent A&E doctors to provide an incentive to choose that specialism. The cost to the health service would be no greater, and could be less, as there would be no need to pay agency staff. We should make A&E more attractive to newly qualified doctors by providing financial incentives. Which one of the following, if true, most strengthens the above argument? Option D is correct because it would suggest that there is already a cohort of doctors who work for the agencies for higher remuneration in A&E. Thus, by increasing the standard permanent pay for A&E staff, it would attract those doctors to work permanently instead. Question 31. There are a total of 7 spots on each pair of opposite faces on a conventional die. I have 2 unconventional dice. They both have faces with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 spots, but none of the opposite pairs on either die have a total of 7 spots and all 6 pairs have a different total. These are 2 views of one of my dice. What numbers are opposite 1 and 6 on the other die? The correct answer is B because from the views of the first dice it can be seen on this dice that 2 is opposite 4, total 6. 1 is opposite 3, total 4. Therefore, 6 must be opposite 5, total 11. On the other dice, 1 cannot be opposite 3, 5 or 6, so either 2 or 4. 6 cannot be opposite 5 or 1, so either 2, 3 or 4. 5 cannot be opposite 1, 2 or 6. If 1 is opposite 4, then 6 must be opposite 2 and 5 must be opposite 3. This cannot be as 2 pairs would equal the same, 6, 2 and 5, 3 would sum to 8. Therefore 1 opposite 2, 6 is opposite 4 and 5 is opposite 3, option B. Question 32. Which of the following claims is supported by the RSPCA data for the 3 years 2011 to 2013, inclusive? 1. More than 4,300 people were tried for animal welfare offenses over the 3 years. 2 of the defendants tried in 2012 for animal welfare offenses, over 30 were acquitted. 3. Over 2/3 of prison sentences handed out for animal welfare offenses over the period were suspended. The correct answer is G because of the following. The total number of defendants convicted of animal cruelty was 4,265, however because only 98% of those tried were convicted, the number tried would have been more like 4,265 divided by 0.98 equals 4,352, therefore statement 1 is true. In 2012 the number of people tried was 1552 divided by 0.979 equals 1585, however only 1552 were convicted, meaning that 33 people were acquitted, and statement 2 is correct. The total number of prison sentences across the 3-year period, suspended and non-suspended, was 88 plus 86 plus 74 plus 220 plus 178 plus 140 equals 786. 2/3 of this number would be 524. 786 divided by 3, multiplied by 2, which is a smaller number than the total number of suspended prison sentences given. 220 plus 178 plus 140 equals 53. Therefore, statement 3 is also correct and option G is the correct answer. Question 33. What would have been the total number of people convicted for animal cruelty offences in 2013 in England and Wales? The correct answer is B because of the following. If the figure in the north of England had fallen by the same as in England and Wales as a whole, 11.7%, then the figure for the north would have been 531 multiplied by 100 minus 11.7, divided by 100, equals 468.873 equals 469. Therefore, the total figure for the whole of England and Wales would have been 1371 minus 97 equals 1274, option B. Question 34. Based on the RSPCA figures, which of the following inferences is fully supported? 1. The highest increase for any region in England and Wales in animal welfare convictions between 2012 and 2013 was in West Yorkshire. 2. The increase in convictions for animal cruelty offences in West Yorkshire was at least 6.6% higher in 2013 than in 2012. 3. In 2013, 2/5 of all convictions for animal cruelty offences in England and Wales occurred in the north of England. The correct answer is C because of the following. Statement 1 is not fully supported because although the text uses West Yorkshire as an example of a northern county with very high conviction rate, there could have been another county elsewhere in the country with a higher rate. The article does not claim it to be the county with the highest conviction. Also, the report is for 2013, not between 2012 and 2013. Statement 2 is not fully supported because although the text states that the convictions in the north as a whole rose by 6.6%, this does not mean that convictions in West Yorkshire had to have risen by this figure or more. Statement 3 is fully supported because the number of convictions in the north in 2013 were 566 whilst the total number of convictions was 1371. 2/5 of 1371 is 548.2, meaning that at least 2/5 of convictions occurred in the north in 2013. Thus option C is correct. Question 35. Which one of the following items of additional information, if true, would most weaken the argument presented in the reader's comment on the Times article? The correct answer is B because it suggests that people are only reporting animal cruelty when it is very severe and obviously convictable. They are not supporting suspicions of animal cruelty that turn out to be false.